Imagine you have 100 different things you want. A new game console, a giant pizza, a trip to the moon, but you only have $10. That's the problem of scarcity. It's the most basic concept in economics. We all have practically unlimited wants, but the resources, the time, the money, the land, the oil, are always limited. Because we can't have everything, scarcity forces us to make tough choices about how to use what we have. Every society, from a simple family to a massive country, deals with scarcity every single day. When we talk about scarcity, it helps to separate what we need from what we want. Needs are the non-negotiables, the basics for survival, like food, water, and shelter. If you don't have those, you can't survive. Wants, though, are everything else, the things that make life better, more fun, or more comfortable, like that brand new pair of sneakers or the latest streaming service. Scarcity isn't just about being poor. Even the richest people in the world face scarcity. They might have unlimited money, but they still have limited time. Everything we buy or use comes from combining 4 key factors of production. Think of it like a recipe for making a product. First, you need land, which includes all natural resources, like the water for your soda or the iron ore for your car. Second, you need labor, the physical and mental work done by people. Third is capital, not just money, but the tools and machinery, like the factory building or the delivery truck. Finally, someone has to have the idea and take the risk. That's the entrepreneurship. Without all 4, nothing gets made. Since we can't have everything we want, every decision involves a trade-off. Let's say you have 2 hours of free time. You can spend it studying for your history test or playing basketball. Choosing one means you automatically give up the other. That's the trade-off. Businesses face this too. They can use their funds to hire more workers, labor, or buy a new robot, capital. Governments also make huge trade-offs, like spending money on a new highway system versus investing it in new schools. The most important concept in decision-making is opportunity cost. When you choose to play basketball for 2 hours, the trade-off, the opportunity cost is the value of the next best thing you gave up, the better grade you might have gotten on the history test. It's not just the time lost, but the benefit of the best alternative. Always ask yourself, what am I giving up to get this? That value is the real cost of your choice. What motivates you to act? An incentive does. Incentives are rewards or penalties that encourage specific behaviors. If your parents offer you $20 for every A you get on your report card, that's a positive incentive. It makes you want to study harder. On the flip side, if the government puts a high tax on cigarettes, that's a negative incentive designed to discourage people from buying them. Economic systems rely completely on incentives to make people and businesses produce, buy, and save. Let's talk about demand and how consumers like you and me behave. The law of demand is simple. Imagine your favorite video game just came out. If the price is really high, only a few people will buy it. But if the store puts it on a huge sale, the quantity people demand will skyrocket. The cheaper something is, the more of it people will want to buy. This inverse relationship, when price goes up, demand goes down, is fundamental to how markets work. Now look at the situation from the seller's point of view. Supply. The law of supply works in the opposite way. If that same video game is selling for a super high price, the producer will think, wow, I'm making a ton of profit, and they will want to increase the quantity they supply. If the price drops really low, they might stop making the game altogether because it's not profitable. So, as the price goes up, the quantity supplied goes up. When the forces of supply and demand meet, they create something called the equilibrium price. Think of it as a perfect balance on a scale. At this price, The exact amount of the product that producers are willing to supply is the exact amount that consumers are willing to buy. If the price is set too high, you get a surplus, lots of extra games sitting on the shelf. If the price is too low, you get a shortage. The store runs out instantly. The market naturally tries to push the price toward this perfect equilibrium point. An economic system is the set of rules a society uses to answer the three basic questions. In a market economy, also known as capitalism, individual people and private businesses own the resources and make all the decisions. You get to choose what job you take and what products you buy. The government's role is minimal, focusing on enforcing laws and contracts. The entire system is driven by people pursuing profit and competition. The US is a great example of a market system, though it has some government rules. At the opposite extreme is a command economy. In this system, the government owns and controls all the factors of production, like factories, farms, and businesses. A central planning committee decides what to produce, how to produce it, and for whom it will be distributed. Individual economic freedom is very limited. Historically, countries like the Soviet Union used this model, and while it promised equality, it often led to shortages and inefficiency because the government couldn't manage every single detail of the massive economy. Most countries today, including the United States, use a mixed economy. It's exactly what it sounds like, a mix between the freedom of the market economy and the control of the command economy. Most businesses are privately owned, the market part, but the government steps in to regulate things like environmental pollution and food safety. The government also provides essential services that the market might ignore, like national defense, roads, and public education. This mix is seen as the best way to encourage innovation while protecting citizens. No matter what type of economic system a society has, market, command, or mixed, it has to answer the same three fundamental questions. First, what goods and services should we make? Should we focus on food or on military equipment? Second, how should we make them? Should we use robots or hire more people? And third, for whom are we producing them? Should everyone get an equal share, or should the goods go to those who can afford them? The answers to these three questions define the society. Have you ever tried to make a sandwich and pour a drink at the same time? It's not very efficient. Productivity is a measure of how efficiently you use your resources. One great way to boost productivity is through division of labor. Think of a restaurant kitchen. One person chops vegetables, another cooks the burgers, and a third handles the cash register. By breaking the huge task into small, specialized jobs, each person becomes much faster at their one task, and the total output increases dramatically. The reason division of labor works is because it allows for specialization. When people or even countries specialize, they focus on producing only the goods or services they can make best and most efficiently. For example, Brazil specializes in coffee production because its climate is perfect for it. The US specializes in technology and corn because it has the capital and land. When everyone specializes, the total amount of goods produced in the world is much higher, and we all benefit by trading for what we need. Trade is the engine that connects specialized economies, and it's based on voluntary exchange. This simply means that when you buy a candy bar, you and the store owner are making a completely willing and free trade. You exchange money for the candy bar because you value the candy more than the money. The store owner values your money more than the candy bar because both sides feel they are better off after the trade. This is the most efficient and powerful way to distribute resources. Imagine going back to a time before money. If you wanted to buy shoes, you'd have to find a shoemaker who wanted to trade their shoes for something you had, like a basket of apples. This is bartering, and it's complicated. That's why money was invented. It has three main jobs. It's a medium of exchange. Everyone accepts it. It's a unit of account. It puts a price on everything. And it's a store of value. You can save it for later. Money makes modern trade possible. In a market economy, consumers are the bosses. This is called consumer sovereignty. When you choose to buy a certain brand of soda, you are essentially casting a vote. If enough people vote with their money for that soda, the producer knows they should keep making it. If a new type of video game controller doesn't sell well, consumers have voted against it, and the producer will stop making it. Your spending choices are what guide businesses and determine what is produced. The producer or business is the one in charge of making the products that consumers want. Their main goal is to maximize profit, which is the money they have left over after paying all their costs. To make a profit, they must be efficient. They have to combine the land, labor, and capital in the smartest way possible to keep their costs low. If they listen to what the consumers are buying and efficiently produce it, they succeed. If not, they fail. The economy isn't just a collection of individuals. It's a system of connected transactions, which we can visualize in the circular flow model. Think of two big groups: households, you and your family, and firms, businesses. Households sell their labor to firms and use the money to buy products from firms. Firms use that money to pay for labor and resources. It's a continuous circle where money flows one way, and goods, services, and labor flow the other. This simple model shows how everyone in the economy depends on everyone else.